I'm now joined by former minister and anti-apartheid activist and author Ronnie Kasrils, who co-edited the book, as well as retired South African National Defence Force Major General and the wife of the late, great Joe Modise. Masechaba Sedibe join us both now in studio. Good morning and thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, good morning, Masechaba.
So first and foremost, what a great read. I thoroughly enjoyed this book.
You did?
I got through it in 2 days.
What?
Well, I didn't sleep much. I love the fact that it's not only a celebration of the life of Joe Modise, but it literally constitutes the history of Umkhonto weSizwe and our history as South Africa, as
Absolutely.
a nation. In this book, you describe Joe Modise as a dynamo of an organizer, as a young activist, political recruiter in Sophiatown. Tell us more.
Well, Masechaba, this young man, aged 18, becomes a bus driver. He's a working class guy, he's earning his living, and he joins the ANC, and he becomes one of the lieutenants of Sedibe, Nelson Mandela, in the Youth League, organizing the people. And Joe emerges as one of the outstanding organizers. So there's stories from the book about how the bus driver, while the passengers are climbing in, he keeps up a commentary about the conditions that they're facing, the people, and he's taking them to work, and how they're being exploited, and the dompas that the police, if they don't have it, they'll arrest them, etc. And he's organizing while he's driving the bus. And these are the stories about him in those days. There's a story about when he's finished work, and now they're organizing for the big rallies, for the defiance campaign against unjust laws, for the Congress of the People that produces the Freedom Charter. He finishes his stint on the bus, and he jumps on the train, and on the train he keeps up the commentary, mobilizing and organizing. So this is something that's almost natural, but it comes forth because he's seized with this idea that the people must be aware of the conditions and the need to overthrow the government by mobilizing and organizing. Just quickly say, fast forward, when we now having to turn to armed struggle, which leads us then into exile, because we chased everywhere, Sedibe and others are arrested. He's the commander of MK. We've got to organize our camps. We've got to organize our food. He comes to these camps where the young people from the cities, they're eating from tins and so on that the ANC supplies. Modise arrives and he says, hey, come on, you've got to plow as well. You must know how to grow food. He teaches them how to build housing and so on. So this is the man and the dynamo that he is.
That's incredible. Before I come to Masechaba, who is a fire powerhouse on her own, I just want to say to you that as ANC Youth League activists who took no nonsense from authorities, especially you were known as smart dressers, and this is quite evident in the book, that even as township boys, the smart dress was more than just to impress girls, but the decision to be chic dressers was a political statement, and the likes of Nelson Mandela even led this. In what way was that sense of dress a political statement?
Well, it's explained there that they're saying, we're not just taking the old clothes from the white houses, you know, the servants, the handovers. We can dress, we earn our money, and we're showing that we self-independent, we'll project ourselves, we show our power and our natty dressing that way. We show the police, we dress better than you guys when you're out of your uniform.
I love it. So, Masechaba, in the, I don't know, Mrs. Sedibe, Major General, I'm not sure how to refer to you,
You
but
can call me Sedibe.
Sedibe. Now, you are an incredible powerhouse, the first female to be in charge of the then MK's military intelligence.
No,
communications,
That's
yes,
right.
correct. Communicators in the history of the Wankies Polile War in Rhodesia, which is now Zimbabwe, and many other achievements that you can proudly name and claim. And should have a book written about you as well. In this particular book, you say that you started living with Joe Modise in 1979 and that it was hard for you to dodge him. What did you mean by that?
I mean, I had to be in a meeting with him. And after the meeting, let me first maybe explain that I worked at the Chief Representative's office. That was Mrs. Shope. And then after some time, Babu Mabhida came to me and told me that they need my services at the military headquarters. So I loved my work at the office. I was doing a lot of things, but that is history now. I was clearing people at the office. I was the secretary of the office. I was also the head of the typing pool. I was the driver of Mema Shope. So most of these things really to us, we had women who were there before us, like Mema Shope. They were guiding us in it. She just turned 99 a few weeks back, and I had the opportunity of actually being with her. Such a really good mother in exile when you elect your mother and a leader at the same time.
In the book, you also say that Joe Modise was all for gender equality. Please elaborate. You say that he was all for gender equality.
Yes, he's a woman that struggled in South Africa almost all her life too. The husband was also involved in Tate Shope.
Oh no, Tate Modise. You say that in Tate Joe Modise was all for gender equality.
Okay, so in Tate Modise, I don't think gender was an issue to him, because when he was young, as Comrade Ronnie says, he was already involved in the struggle, and he was in Sophia Town. And then there were the removals where he was involved with powerful women such as Mama Ngowa, Betha Ngowa, and many other powerful women. At the time when the removals take place, the men are not there, because they were there as youngsters. They were the ones fighting the police not to take the things out. And also, according to Mema Ngowa, she says when the police were taking things out, JM and the other youth were pushing some of these things that they'd taken out back into the houses. So I think to him, gender really was not an issue.
That's incredible, especially for a man who existed in that era, in that generation. Now, Mr. Kasrils, in the book, you also say that Joe Modise never believed that the struggle could be won by military means alone. Could you expand on that?
Yes, well, you know, the idea of guerrilla warfare, people think it's just about the military. And you fight and you'll take over, you'll beat the enemy on the battlefield. Well, the disparity in weapons and resources between a state and guerrilla insurgents is incredible. You have to take up the weapon to face the enemy and also mobilize the people. So he was essentially a politically minded person who understood that you're using weapons for the political objectives. And that's where the politics come in. It's not just where we see in the world these militarists, you know, whether it's in Africa or Europe or wherever, that the military rule. But it's the politics, and he grasped that. That was an essential aspect of the ANC and of Umkhonto we Sizwe. So Joe Modise was to the fore with the young people coming out. Hey, we're joining you because we want the gun to go back and kill the Boers. And he would say, now, hold on a minute. Yes, we need these weapons because they're killing us. We'll defend our people and we'll beat them as well. But we've got to mobilize politically, get the politics in your head. It's the politics, the idea, that drives the person with the gun. It's an essential aspect of what we came to call people's war, to involve the people for political objectives.
Speaking of war, one thing that is quite well documented even in the book itself is the abolition, if I can call it that, of the armed struggle and exactly what happened in the steps leading up to the negotiations. Do you think South Africa would be in a completely different place had the armed struggle gone ahead as planned?
Well, you know, the armed struggle wasn't the end in itself at all. And we knew, and he said, whether it was from Mandela to Mbeki the other night, Oliver Tambo, that it's essentially to weaken the apartheid resolve and the psychology of the masses, which said that we whites are dominant and you can't oppose us, the kind of way in which Israel is dealing with the Palestinians, by the way. So the objective was, in fact, a political change, not to put a military in power. It was to put the politics in power, people serving the leadership, the organization serving the people.
Welcome back to the Weekend Report. I'm Masechaba Khumalo. I'm joined in the studio by former minister and anti-apartheid activist and author Ronnie Kasrils, who co-edited the book Comrade and Commander, The Life and Times of Joe Modise. I'm also joined by retired South African National Defence Force Major General and the wife of the late Joe Modise, Sedibe, joining us both now in studio. Given your profile, essentially it was, I can imagine like having two bulls in one graph. How did you manage that?
I actually became a Major General when I joined the SANDF. And in a way, you see, I should have had a higher rank. But because the generals, previous generals of the SADF had never seen a woman having been involved in the military for any higher position than that of a colonel. So they just couldn't, to them a colonel was even too much. But to me, I was there, I was even with a lot of other comrades who were amazed when some of my juniors were now my seniors because of that, and I had to salute them.
What were some of the conversations that happened between you and the late Joe Modise in your own private spaces, especially when it came to the struggle, when it came to your roles respectively in the movement?
I think when it came to, when it's a family, you know, let me start there, it's very difficult to legislate, you see. I think naturally when you are together, you begin to understand one another better. You know, you want to help where it's possible. I would do a bit of gardening myself. He would also help me, you know, at times with the laundry of my kids, and then he kept saying, I think we are doing it the difficult way, Jackie. You know, there's a better way. And then one time I came, I wasn't at home. I had the clump, clump, clump in the bathroom. He's there washing, using his feet. And the clothes came out quite clean, better than the hand. So I think we continued washing the clothes that way.
All right, so we have come to the end of the conversation, but before I let you go, I just want to know from you, Mr. Kasrils, what do you think that the late Joe Modise would have said or felt about the use of the name Umkhonto weSizwe in the former President Jacob Zuma's political party?
He would have slammed them as absolute phonies, absolute frauds. This is unspeakable. Who have they got there who were the real MK soldiers and combatants? They've got a Judge Hlophe. Do you think he ever was in a camp or took up a gun in the struggle? The others there in their camouflage uniforms, these guys, they are nothing in relation to the real people who were in Umkhonto weSizwe and brought us freedom in this country. He would be so angry. He'd put them in their place as they should be and explain to the people how false and phony this crowd is.
Would you approve of the government of national unity?
Well, these are conditions in the country as a result of the election which emerged. So the ANC is the leading force there. It's got most votes, 40%, yes. It came down, it lost a lot of votes. But it is the heart of the GNU and has found that it has to unite with other groups in order to form government. But it must be the leading force. It must learn the lessons of why people didn't vote for them in the numbers of the past. And that is to ensure a better life and the service delivery, the end of corruption. Joe Modise would have dealt with people who are corrupt. He was an honest person, totally honest. Let me end on that point.
Thank you so much. Thank you to the both of you for your time this morning.
Pleasure, thanks for having me.
And thank you for this book.
I thought we were going to go further than this.
I would have loved to go further than this. Yes. Unfortunately, I'm being told to wrap.
Yes.
All right, thank you so much.
I wanted just to explain more about him. I think I was just explaining about him using, but he also helped me politically. You know, at home we used to discuss. And he's the one that used to say, you know, I think you women are pulling back. We must move forward. You know, those are the things of partnership. You know, he was my friend. He was like a partner. There are things I didn't like doing at home that he did with ease. You know, as I've already indicated before, he changed the nappies of my kids without any qualms. So this is the man. He was a commander, but at home he was a husband.
And a father. That is incredible. Thank you so much for that. Thank you very much.